Boxing Truth here. I wanted to talk a little bit about Canelo Triple G, as both parties are currently in negotiations behind closed doors. They've already agreed not to negotiate through the media, so we're going to be getting a out of left field type of announcement on what's going to go down. The deadline is next week. If they can't come to a deal by the 24th, I believe, of this month, then the WC will issue a purse bid, a scenario that Golden Boy would like to avoid, considering the numbers and percentages that's offered to an interim champion in case a purse bid is ordered. So they're going to try to come to terms, try to come to a deal. Now, a weak-ass report came out from Fight News regarding negotiations. And first they reported by an anonymous writer, also with no sources, that Golden Boy was seeking a deal where Golovkin's team will be open to a type of deal where they'll agree to two to three interim fights before meeting sometime next year. Then, about a couple of hours later, Fight News retracted that report and said that they got information from a credible source inside the situation that there is no negotiations about interim fights, from what they hear. So this is the debate right now going on in boxing when it comes to Canelo and Triple G. Now, a lot of fans are going to be calling for Canelo's head if he doesn't agree to fight Triple G next. But my question to y'all in this video, people that are listening, is: do you want the fight next, or do you think the fight should be marinated a little bit, considering that Canelo Alvarez is unproven at 160 pounds, considering that he has yet to beat a legitimate middleweight in his career, considering he's fought mostly at 54 to 154 pounds at his new weight at Canelo weight, and he's coming off knocking out a chinny welterweight in a showcase fight on pay-per-view in his last outing. So, even though a lot of boxing fans are demanding this fight to be next, I kind of find it intriguing in some way, considering that how many people are actually picking Canelo to win this fight? How many are actually picking him to beat Triple G, let alone even be competitive with Triple G? So it's an interesting dynamic that people want to see this fight, yet a majority of boxing fans feel Canelo has no chance to win. So why do we want to see this fight? Is it because for selfish reasons? Is it because we want to see Golovkin in a big fight? Or is it because there's a lot of hate towards Canelo and they want to see him to get punched in the face by a very big power puncher in middleweight in Triple G? Perhaps it's all of the above. But I'm saying I think the fight, it wouldn't hurt if it was marinated a little bit. And I'm just talking about in terms of, how about we see Canelo fight a puncher, a legit top middleweight in the world, before he fights a Triple G? Because, let's be honest here, who the hell is picking Canelo Alvarez besides his fanboys? Not many. How many experts are picking Canelo? Not many. How many hardcore boxing fans are picking Canelo? Not many. Only casual fans or people that know shit about boxing are picking Canelo. I'm not saying to, knock your boxing knowledge. It's just right now, Canelo won't beat Triple G, considering he hasn't fought any top middleweights. He hasn't tested himself in the division. He's unproven. I think it'll be better off for Golden Boy and all the principals involved to make this fight more competitive in terms of the fans' opinions on this matchup. Yeah, they want to see it, but not many are picking Canelo to actually win it. I mean, look at the odds so far that just came out on a potential Triple G Canelo Alvarez fight. Triple G's already a heavy favorite. Now, Canelo should fight a top 5 or top 10 middleweight, not named Triple G, for his next fight. Now, David Lemieux will be the perfect opponent to get things really juicier and cooked for a Triple G Canelo fight. Instead of coming off a knockout win over a chinny welterweight, how about he dominate and trash and just beat down a former Golovkin opponent a lot better than Golovkin did? Imagine he was to do that. That would make the fight a lot juicier, more intriguing, more interesting, and also create a more interesting debate among fans on who actually will win this fight. Because right now it's really kind of one-sided. Some people may feel this fight's not even a fight, that it's a mismatch, that Triple G is going to be too much dog for Canelo, and that could be the case. It might not be a challenge right now, but after an interim or two fights with top middleweights, punchers like a David Lemieux or Curtis Stevens, something like that could really make this fight reach its potential of interest in the boxing world. It's already a big fight, but do people really see it as a competitive fight? Now, there's some respected guys on inside the game, some respected trainers like Freddie Roach, who said that he sees it as a real fight right now. That he believes that Canelo could make a fight out of it. That he possibly could hurt Golovkin. That's good. I mean, that's all good, but I just don't see it right now with the type of opposition he's coming off, fighting much smaller guys. His last two opponents were naturally smaller men, and he was able to use his size and ability and also skills to be able to take advantage of their weaknesses in the fight in Khan and Miguel Cotto and beat them, outsize them, outstrengthen them. And also, he also showed his skills in both of those fights. He showed that it wasn't just the size. That was the difference in those two fights. Canelo also showed very good skill, counterpunching ability, and placement of his shots. But I just feel that the fight should marinate a little more. Not because I don't want to see the fight, not because I don't think it'll be a big fight right now. It is, but I want more intrigue behind the fight. Because right now I see Golovkin grinding down Canelo to a late stoppage win. I mean, Canelo will do well for the first few rounds of the fight, first 4 or 5 rounds. And his combinations and sharpness and speed will give some problems to Triple G, who is not as fast as Canelo. He'll have to deal with a much more dynamic combination puncher compared to what he's faced throughout his professional career. However, Canelo, he still needs his weaknesses. His weakness, especially in this fight, is his conditioning. That's the real difference between the two guys, in Triple G and Canelo. Triple G is in much better condition, supreme condition, can hurt you from any round, from the 1st to the 10th. He's already proven it in a couple of his fights against David Lemieux, against Martin Murray. The guy doesn't tire. He can hurt you in any round, and Canelo hasn't proven that. He's gassed out in fights. He's slowed down in the middle rounds. Goes through spurts, fights in spurts. Doesn't let his hands go at times. It can only be, I see, a competitive fight for maybe 4 or 5 rounds, and then Canelo's conditioning is gonna betray him. He's gonna get winded. He's gonna get tired, and he's gonna get grinded down. It's gonna be a war of attrition. And right now, Gennady Golovkin is just on another level when it comes to conditioning compared to Canelo. So I want to see Canelo fight a top middleweight first, see how he does against a puncher not named Triple G, and then maybe the fight could happen sometime early next year, May of 2017. I don't mind if Canelo takes a fight in between against a top middleweight, preferably a Gennady Golovkin, former Gennady Golovkin opponent. And David Lemieux will be that opponent. It makes sense for Golden Boys, and it's an in-house fight. Lemieux's coming off a showcase win over Glenn Tapia, knocking him out. He's He's a Golden Boy promoted fighter. In-house fight makes sense. Both were on the same card. Both recorded knockout wins. Will it do big numbers on pay-per-view? Probably not. But make sure not to, put the guaranteed purses of both fighters very high, and perhaps you can still make a profit with a lower price pay-per-view and lower guaranteed purses to both fighters. But y'all let me know what y'all think. Would you mind if Canelo fought a top middleweight first with the promise that he will fight Golovkin early sometime next year? Of course, the WC has to make a ruling on the WC title. So it could be a similar situation like Maravilla and Chavez Jr., where they pretty much swatted the WC belt for a time. Maravilla got stripped, and then they gave it a vacated shot to Chavez Jr. He picked up the belt, and then Maravilla and Chavez Jr. ended up fighting for the same belt that was initially stripped from Maravilla. And they fought for the belt, and Maravilla was able to get his belt back that was stripped from him. So it could be a similar type situation where Canelo gives up the belt for the time being, but that he will fight Triple G for the same belt that was stripped from him at a later date. But y'all let me know what y'all think. This is Boxing Truth. I'm out.